Hi, I'm Dr. Sharon Grossman, author of The 70 Solution to Burnout. Hopefully you can see that. And today, this is going to be our very first meeting as a book club. And what I'd love to do is just hone in on one specific area so that you can have a little snippet of what's inside the book. And whether you have the book and you've read it, or it's just a topic that you're interested in and you want to just listen up for the next few minutes, I'm sure that you'll walk away with some gems that can help you in your everyday life. Specifically, what I'm sharing today is about growth mindset. Now, growth mindset is a term that psychologist Carol Dweck made popular as a notion to contrast from something called a fixed mindset. In very few words, basically what she's talking about is how when you have a growth mindset, you believe that change is possible, that even if you can't do something today, or you haven't been up until this point in your life, you can still get things done. You can still learn and expand and grow. Whereas people who have a fixed mindset, they really believe that you're born a certain way. And if you haven't been able to achieve something, there's a good reason for it. It's because it's just not possible. You can imagine that if you have that sort of mindset, you are less likely to even try. You're not going to put as much effort into things, and you're not going to really believe in the possibility, right? And what's possible for you. So let's just imagine that your company has major layoffs and you end up losing your job. If you hold a more growth mindset, what might you think about that layoff? How might you make sense of it? Well, chances are you're going to think, well, these things happen and I just need to find another job, right? It's not really about me. It's just, this is how it works. And so you're going to attribute it to something like that. But if you have a fixed mindset, you're more likely to attribute that layoff to something personal. This is about me. I wasn't good enough. And then as a result, you might feel depressed, lack motivation, and this is going to affect your next step. You're going to be less likely to pursue another opportunity. Or if you are, you're going to have less confidence because you think that there was something about you that was the problem. So you can see how in a stressful situation like a layoff, you can either embrace it and grow with it, or you can really have it damper you down. And this is important, not just in layoffs, clearly, but in everyday life. So if you're leading a team and you notice that, you're going through some struggles, maybe there's a deadline that's looming, maybe the project requires a lot of effort, focus, extra work and dedication for a short period of time, whatever the case may be. If you're not very resilient, if you think that stress is something that you can't handle very well, you're probably going to have a little bit of a freak out, and that's only going to impair your performance, your ability to focus, and so forth. Whereas what I teach is how to leverage stress for your advantage. So how to really make the best of that situation. And I really think that everything starts up here. It starts with your mindset, the way that you think about things. And so that's why growth mindset is such an important thing. Now I want to read you what I wrote about this in my book. So this is what Carol Dweck talks about as the psychology of resilience, or that's how I kind of refer to it here. So as I mentioned, Carol Dweck made popular the notion that of a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. And according to her, when faced with an obstacle, people with a growth mindset can counterbalance negative events by focusing on positive aspects. So just because something bad happens, and they happen literally all the time to everybody, doesn't mean that there isn't a flip side to it. Now, it doesn't mean that you're always having to look at the positives, because that's unrealistic, but you have to be able to bounce back from things. And a lot of it has to do with the story that you tell yourself. So if you're filled with negativity and you're like, oh, well, life is so hard, which it can be, then it's going to really have a negative impact on you. What you want to do is be able to look at both sides of the coin, be more realistic, have some hope, right? And know how to learn from challenges, mistakes, errors, pitfalls, all of these things, and become better. Learning is about growth. And if you've got that fixed mindset, you're less likely to take those opportunity and really expand yourself. Now, there are multiple layers to your mind, kind of like an onion. So the core of your mind lies in the center, and that's the hardest thing for you to change. This core really determines the direction of the layers that come after it. So that innermost layer is comprised of what we call your schema or your core beliefs. The lens for which you see the world makes up the core beliefs that you hold to be true, even in the face of evidence. So, how many times have you been in a situation where you might have gotten tons of evidence, but if it goes against what you truly believe on the inside, it doesn't really matter. You're not listening. You're kind of biased to think in a certain way. It's because we hold true to those core beliefs, those things that are very oftentimes very much fixed, right? And so we often attribute things that happen on the outside to our internal stable or global factors. These are what we know of as attribution errors. So you can see how this is all kind of coming together. So when, let's say, if you're a child and your parents are fighting or they get divorced, oftentimes we see that kids blame themselves. They'll say, I wasn't good enough. That's why my dad left, or that's why my parents aren't together anymore. If only I was a better kid, if I was smarter, if I did more, if I was perfect, then maybe I would have saved their marriage. So we have these kind of grandiose ideas about what's possible sometimes. So that's really an internal error when you think that the problem comes from within. Now, if you have a fixed mindset, you're likely to attribute things to a deficiency in yourself again. Now, this often stems from a core belief that you are inadequate. So you'll notice that when you believe that to begin with, then it's easy when things happen now in your life, day to day, that you're going to take that and attribute it to yourself. And that's really hard, right? If you think that you're flawed, which we all are, but if you think that it's just, you can never overcome that. If you're deficient, if you're not enough, right? Those are all things that really are going to affect your confidence and ultimately your performance at work, amongst everything else in your life, relationships, your mental health, everything else. So this is really important. And when you're talking about leadership at work, for instance, ultimately you've got people who come in with all kinds of life experiences. It's important for us as leaders to get in touch with our own mindset, our own core beliefs, and make sure that we're on the right page, but also to understand that the people that we're leading might also be coming in with all kinds of different life experiences. And we have to act a little bit like a psychologist to be able to understand and have empathy and have some compassion for people and just all of their crazy notions, right? Not only do we have our own crazy notions, but everybody has their own. And a good manager, a good leader is somebody who can get into the shoes or the mindset of the people that you're working with so that you can help guide them, so that you can understand how to work with them, that you can highlight their strengths and know exactly what they're struggling with and how to help them kind of circumvent that, right? So a lot of times we talk about managers who are maybe having a hard time prioritizing, delegating, empathizing. Ultimately, I think you have to start with yourself. You have to kind of figure out what is the best way for you to be good at what you do, be efficient, be effective, and then take some of those lessons and also apply it to your team. Now, the second factor that reduces our resilience is the stability factor. So when you believe that you have a flaw and that is permanent, kind of like we mentioned before, that you're just not enough, then you're less likely to really feel optimistic about your ability to bounce back. So something happens, and we see this all the time. COVID was a great example of this. everybody was dealing with the exact same thing, right? Same restrictions, same potential in getting sick, same quarantines. And yet some people were very much struggling, whereas other people were thriving. They were seeing it as an opportunity, something different. So it's all in your approach, right? It's all starts up here in your mindset. So I hope that you can walk away from this today thinking about yourself as somebody who is unique in your own way. Life has shaped you to have certain ideas, certain beliefs. And that's important because that's what makes you you. That's why we value you in the workplace. And so shine a light on that. Think about how to bring that forward, how to leverage that. And then as leaders, we also have to think about how to help the people that we are leading to come forward in the best way, how to help them overcome obstacles, as I mentioned. Resilience is a really important thing. It starts with our psychology, which is our beliefs, our outlook on life. And a lot of that is that mindset, again, that Carol Dweck so beautifully put together for us in that framework of growth versus fixed. So think about where you fall on that spectrum of growth to fixed and how you can move closer to that growth mindset in every situation, in every possibility. There's always an opportunity for you to do so. Now, if you haven't already gotten a copy of the 70 Solution to Burnout, you can get it on my website at drsharongrossman.com/book. I'm happy to autograph it and mail it out to you with that personal little note. So let me know what you'd like me to write in it for you. And until next time, I'm Dr. Sharon Grossman. If you are interested in having me come and speak at your event, also look me up on my website, drsharongrossman.com, and I look forward to seeing you at the next book club. Bye for now.